four, three, two, one. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains here. This is the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. All you Marvel, Comic-Con enthusiasts, we are about to have a show for you. We not only have Chanel Mahoney.
Hello.
She is a costume enthusiast, costume designer, and a fellow at the San Diego Repertory Theater. And we also have Mike Davis.
Hey, glad to be here with you.
By day, he is a corporate executive that works with corporate training and development of individuals. And by night, he is Batman. And me, your host, April Mahoney, a little steampunk enthusiast because I like cosplay. So today the show is going to be very unique. We want to talk about all things Marvel and Comic-Con and really why people are so excited about it, why they spend so much money, and they come here to San Diego to enjoy 2 or 3 days worth of fantasy. Let's start with Mike. Mike Davis, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with being Batman and Comic-Con and comic books.
Well, I have been reading comic books since I was a kid. I'm 54 years old now, and I have been doing it as long as I can remember. And Batman has always been my favorite superhero. There are stories that circulate in my family about me having a Batman costume and jumping off of ironing boards and trying to fly across the room. True life stories.
Wow.
And I had always wanted to go to Comic-Con. I used to, when reading comic books, they would always advertise. And so since a kid, I'm originally from Indiana, and I would read about Comic-Con in New York and San Diego, and I always wanted to go. And 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to attend my very first Comic-Con. It was a dream come true.
Well, I tell you, it is on and popping. I used to wonder why my daughter would walk around with these ears and tails, and she would read these far out books, and then she got into anime. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's into some sort of cult. I didn't know what was going on with her. And, you know, my husband taught her how to sew. And I took her to Comic-Con, and I hadn't realized I took her to Comic-Con. And look, I've turned her into someone from Harry Potter. Tell us a little bit about you, Chanel Mahoney.
Well, I've been interested in comic books and anime and cosplay since 2010. And now I work in the industry as a costume designer, designing for operas and theater. And I like to express myself in bright colors and different characters and be somebody else for a little bit.
Wow. Does that turn you on? And I love all things fantasy and all things that are creative. I really enjoy SteamPunk. I think that it's about time travel and movement and, you know, energy and a sphere. And, you know, I'm telling you, I'm about to go all out. This is just something that I kind of pulled together right now, but you wait till you see me next time. It's great. So, Mike, you started reading comic books. Tell us a little bit about comic books. I see some in the back there, your comic book collection.
Oh, yeah. I have a nice little comic book collection, and when we moved into the house that we live in now, my wife actually we set up a library in our garage, and she actually set up one section just for my comic books, which I didn't know that she was going to do that. And I was thinking, oh, that's really cool. So when we have neighbors come by, they went, oh my gosh, what's that? They're like, wow. But yeah, I've been reading it since I was a young kid. Now I have to admit, I love both DC and Marvel. I'm a little bit of an edge where DC is concerned because of Batman, but love Marvel Comics. Probably out of all of the heroes, my two favorite are Spider-Man and, well, Spider-Man, Daredevil 3. Spider-Man, Daredevil, Captain America. My 3 favorites. So, yeah, I've been reading it for years, collecting them. I really like a lot of the old stuff, like from the 1960s, 1970s, even 50s that I grew up in. So I collect a lot of the some of the graphic novels that reprint the stories from that time period.
Do you trade them and, you know, keep them in a nice sealed package so there weren't no fingerprints on them so that you can trade them? Because they're worth a lot of money, comic books.
Yeah, I don't trade, but I do like to buy. I haven't bought anything really expensive yet, but there used to be a comic book shop out where I live. It was called it's still called Bunky Brothers. And they would actually carry old comics. And I was shocked because not too many comic book stores carry a lot of stuff from like the late 1950s or 60s. And so I do like to buy them. I really have, usually if I trade, usually it's going back to the comic book store, taking something back so I can get something in return. But not a whole lot of trade. I like to keep them.
Right. My husband is a Batman enthusiast too. I got a thing of Spider-Man here, and he was like,
oh. I trained all of my kids to love Batman and that Superman was a wimp. So
that's exactly what he said. But you know what? Nobody can spin a web like that Spider-Man.
That's
okay.
True. That's very true.
So Chanel, tell us some of the other costumes and characteristics that you've taken on. I know you love Disney. I remember, what was it, last year before, you went 32 times to Disneyland?
Yes,
Wow.
I have an annual pass. I'm looking to renew my annual pass here shortly with the opening of Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars section of Disneyland. It was incredible. I've done Disney. I've done a lot of anime. I've also done a few book characters, hence my my robes. They're a special creation by a friend of mine. She's participating in this year's Comic-Con's Her Universe fashion show. It's a completely made, fan-made event. It's basically couture gowns inspired by nerdom. And I think it really inspires creativity. It gets a lot of people excited about different things. It's what I do, and everything. You know, you get inspiration and you think that no one really gets you. And it's a room full of high fashion with just the right amount of nerd. So it's pretty fun.
That's the right amount of nerd. You know, nerd is sexy now. It used not to be.
Yes, it is.
I know, you know, because again, it's just an alter ego. It's someone that's inside of you. Tell me, Mike, if you had a superpower, what superpower would it be? Would it be you be invisible? Could you read people's minds? What would be your superpower?
You know, it's funny. If I had to pick, honestly, I would pick to be Batman.
Wow.
And it's because of Batman's mind. He is, you know, there's a thing which people tend to hate about Batman
and his
or
money,
love.
because you know he had
And his money, yeah.
him some money.
My wife has often said, I don't mind you being Batman as long as you bring along Bruce Wayne's money. But it's I love the fact that, you know, there's a saying with Batman that he can be anybody as long as he has enough prep time. And while people sometimes hate that, it's the thing that I like about that Batman is always prepared. Matter of fact, there is a saying from a Batman comic book one time where it says, in preparation lies the victory. And it's a saying that I really like, but it's the thing that I like about Batman is that he's always prepared, he's always ready. Now, what's funny is whenever you ever see those tests like on the internet, which superhero would you be?
Right.
And I have taken those, and every single time I come up Superman.
Wow.
But Batman's my favorite. But yeah, I would want to be Batman. I would want to have that mind that's prepared, that's thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead, and has figured out what needs to be done, and that I have contingency plans for my contingency plans.
And we always need an Alfred. Chanel,
Yeah.
I know that you are an enthusiast of Harry Potter. Why did you pick that schoolhouse? And tell me, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, there was no picking of it. This Ravenclaw was the only option. There's no other house that is my house. Ravenclaws are the creative, intelligent house, and we are the Virgos. If you went by Zodiac, we're love to be creative. We're inquisitive. We want to know. That's why I have so many hobbies, from LARPing to archery to cosplay. So it's just the best fitted house for me. And I think that's why I would have to choose the superpower of telekinesis, to move things with my mind and have the ability to read the thoughts of others and things like that. I think it's best suited for me, so I don't have to leave my house to get food. And I would eat Uber or Uber Eats. I could just do it myself.
You're crazy, girl. And me, I would love SteamPunk because, again, like I said, it's about time travel. I'd like to go back in time. I'd like to rewrite some wrongs, or maybe wrong some rights. I'd like to be able to see into the future. I'd like to be able to just transport myself into another time and space. So I think that that's absolutely fantastic. So now we're talking about Marvel. Now, there was just a big release of a new Marvel movie. I don't keep up with it because I'm gonna tell you, maybe because I haven't followed it from the beginning, but it's just not on my radar to keep up with what happened with, Superman before he was Bruce Wayne and all that kind of stuff. So tell me about the last Marvel movies.
Okay. Two different people.
I got you.
I got my
you're in the steampunk, not comic books.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So we're talking a little bit about what's going on with Comic-Con. What is going to be on and popping this year? What are people looking forward to, you think?
Go ahead, Chanel, go ahead.
Oh, well, we were just at the convention center area today, and I think a lot of people are excited because there are two new Marvel films that are getting ready to come out. And so with the ending of Infinity Wars and everything like that with Endgame, a lot of people are looking forward to the next continuation. We have the newest Spider-Man that came out. There's the release of the new, Black Panther that has been rumored and things like that. Right. So now that we've finished with the original Avengers, it leaves the market open to bring out new ones. A lot of people are hoping for another Deadpool film. And it's kind of like this give and take of what traditionally Marvel has the higher audience because of their plots, their actors and their scenes, and DC is trying to push that limit. We're super excited that DC is releasing a new Wonder Woman film, and with an all film with a female director and everything, it empowered a lot of women, and we're trying to push the boundaries. So typically DC movies are not as high, so that's why a lot of people come to Comic-Con to see, like, do I venture over to the DC realm, or should I just stick with Marvel because you're going to get more bang for your buck?
Right. So are you coming to Comic-Con or coming down to San Diego, Mike Davies, next week?
This is actually the first year we are going to miss it. I had a previous engagement that I had set up last year, and then when the Comic-Con dates got released, I went, oh no. It's the same weekend. So yeah, I'm doing a training that exact weekend, and I thought, oh man, so it's the first year. But we went 3 years in a row, went last year. This is the first year. I even have a friend, a psychologist by the name of Andrea Letametti. She's doing a panel on the psychology of Batgirl.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to miss your panel. But yeah, one of the things that I know a lot of people are looking forward to is just what Chanel was saying about what's coming next. Now that Disney has brought out Fox, in terms of they brought back all the heroes, people are waiting to hear, is there going to be a Fantastic Four movie? How are you going to introduce the X-Men, the mutants into the MCU? And so I know everybody is waiting and looking to hear how that's going to merge. I think the biggest thing people are probably looking for from the chatter that I've seen online is the Fantastic Four going to be a part of the next movies that are coming out, and Galactus and the Silver Surfer. That's what I'm hearing a lot of chatter and hoping that that's the next thing, that Galactus will be the next big baddie after Thanos.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, when they did release Fantastic Four, the first one did pretty decent, but when they made Fantastic Four 2, it didn't have the same reflection, and they came out with a remake recently, and a lot of people are like, no. No. So now that Disney owns it, they're hoping for a lot more. Yeah. And then there's also the fact that people are a little on edge because Disney owns Marvel. And next month is the Disney convention, the D23 one. So they're like, what information are you going to release at Comic-Con that's not going to be there?
Yeah.
They want to, get that attendance. So they can't get the same information. So a lot of people are like, what am I going to get versus what Disney convention will get?
Right. And it's a lot of money that goes into this. This is not an expensive hobby. I can just imagine, and I can tell you the trunks of costumes that we have here in our home that we are storing on behalf of Miss Chanel Mahoney. So I want to thank both of you guys. I think this has been so fun. Thank you for dressing up. You know what time it is, Brains? It's time to go back and check out other edgy conversations. Hey, I just loaded all of these videos on YouTube, so help me raise those numbers. It is going to be so fun because then you can visually see what's rattling around in my brains. Is there anything that you want to share with my brains before we conclude, Mike? I want them to be sure to get in contact with you if they need a superhero or if they need some corporate training and some personal development.
Yeah, they can reach me at my website is MikeLDavis.com. It's actually my name, MikeLDavis.com. And so they can reach me there. Of course, I'm on Facebook. Just type in Mike Davis and you'll see my bright, shining face there. And did you want me to mention about the book you're going to be raffling off?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've got the book, a book that I wrote that deals with the emotion. It's a little quote book called The Power of Emotional Success Now. So I know you're going to be raffling that off. So I hope people, those that will sign in for that, to be able to get that, that'll get a nice copy of that. And yeah, they can contact me. I'm also on LinkedIn as, Michael L. Davis. So they can also reach me through LinkedIn.
All right, Brains. And Chanel Mahoney, how can they get in contact with you if they need some inspiration? I know that you also do some commission work. How can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a website. It's literally my name, ChanelAMahoney.com. Easy to find. I have an Instagram. You can look for more costume related things under the term Cerulean Wings on Instagram, or you can look for Lady Pendragon for makeup and hair inspiration, or to contact me either way if you're looking for something. And just be creative and don't let anyone stop your creativity. It's the best advice I could give.
That's right. And draw a little nerd into it, Brains. Thank you so much for following us here on The Edge, where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, the responses are never dull, and the superheroes are in full effect. Thank you, Brains.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.